Have you ever wondered why the tech support you're calling is maybe halfway around the world? Well, there's this massive shift happening right now in technology, a kind of quiet migration that's reshaping whole industries and careers. We're talking about American tech jobs and their steady move over to India. So in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly why it's happening, what it means for workers here in the US, and, what the playbook for the future might even look like. Okay, let's just dive right into the deep end. To understand this entire story, you really only need to look at these two numbers. They basically say it all. A typical tech salary in the US, about $90,000. In India, more like $12,000. That staggering difference isn't just a random data point. It's the powerful economic engine that's driving literally everything we're about to talk about. So that massive salary gap we just saw, it's fueling what we're calling the Great Tech Migration. And we're calling it that for a reason. This is a truly transformative moment, not just for the US and India, but for the entire global economy. It's a big deal. And it's so important to get this. This isn't just a temporary trend or some passing fad. For countless US companies, outsourcing has become a core part of their business model. We're literally witnessing a deep structural change in how and where our digital world actually gets built. So that brings us to the big question, right? What forces are actually pushing these jobs across the globe? As we're about to see, it really boils down to two main, very powerful factors. So first, and this is the obvious one we've already seen, the massive cost savings are the number one reason. It's just a huge financial incentive. But just as important is the second factor. Technology has gotten so good that geography is becoming almost irrelevant for collaboration. Let's break each of those down. Just look at this chart again. It really visualizes that initial comparison. It's not a small gap, it's a canyon. You can just imagine how the financial benefits multiply. For a company hiring, say, a team of 10 or even 100 developers, the difference becomes absolutely astronomical. This is the primary, no questions asked driver behind the whole thing.
But here's the critical point, and you might be thinking this already. These cost savings don't come at the expense of skill. As this slide points out, India has a massive, highly educated talent pool with a constant flow of graduates in engineering and computer science. So companies feel like they can slash expenses without really sacrificing the technical expertise that they need.
So if the money provides the why, then technology provides the how. Look at these three things. High-speed internet everywhere makes sharing huge files just instantaneous. Cloud-based tools like shared code repositories keep the whole team on the same page. And then you have seamless communication platforms that can make a teammate feel like they're in the next cubicle, not halfway around the world. These three things together have pretty much erased the physical barriers to outsourcing. So, okay, from a purely corporate point of view, this all makes perfect sense. It's just smart business. But it forces us to ask a really tough question. While all these companies are saving a ton of money, what's the real cost of all this efficiency for the American workforce and the economy as a whole? So yeah, let's look at that impact back home. The source material we looked at details some pretty significant and honestly sobering consequences for the United States.
3.4 million. That is a huge number. Just let that sink in for a moment before we explain exactly what it represents. So what is that number? Well, that's the estimated number of U.S. jobs displaced by offshoring in just a 16-year period, according to the Economic Policy Institute. And a huge chunk of those jobs, as this shows, were in the very tech sector that was once seen as the unshakable future of American work.
And the fallout from this job loss, it creates this powerful domino effect. You can see it here. It starts with the direct loss of these high-paying jobs. That, in turn, contributes to widening income inequality. And when those stable tech jobs disappear, it starts to erode the American middle class. But then there's this more subtle, long-term risk, a potential drop in homegrown innovation. Think about it, that water cooler effect, where random hallway chats spark brilliant ideas. That can get lost when your team is spread across 12 different time zones. And this quote from the source material just perfectly illustrates that long-term risk. Right? Innovation doesn't always happen in a scheduled Zoom meeting. It often sparks from that close, spontaneous collaboration. The whole argument is that by fragmenting teams across the globe, companies might be saving money today, but at the expense of their creative engine tomorrow. So all of this paints a pretty challenging picture, right? Which brings us to the crucial question.
Is this whole trend irreversible? Or is there a playbook for navigating this massive shift and maybe protecting the domestic workforce?
So, our final section is going to explore that very question. We'll lay out 4 potential strategies, pulled from the source material, for charting a brand new course.
Okay, so let's check out the playbook. It basically breaks down into 4 key strategies. First, using financial tools like tax breaks and grants to make hiring at home more attractive. Second, just investing heavily in education, both by funding STEM for the next generation and by upskilling the current workforce. Third, promoting fair trade deals that actually include strong labor standards to kind of level the playing field. And finally, supporting the small and medium-sized tech companies because they're the lifeblood of local hiring. At the end of the day, the goal of all these strategies isn't to build some kind of wall around the U.S. economy. It's actually about making the U.S. a more competitive, more skilled, and ultimately a more attractive magnet for tech investment, for hiring, and for innovation. And that really leaves us with the central tension of our modern economy, doesn't it? It's the question that will likely define the next decade of work for all of us. How do we balance the incredible benefits of a connected global talent pool with the fundamental need to create and protect strong local jobs? As this whole situation evolves, the path forward is, well, it's anything but clear.